Welcome to the November 2013 Lancer lesson. Today's Lancer lesson focuses on making assumptions. The purpose of this lesson is for us to be aware of how our assumptions can block our ability to really get to know someone, and to recognize that our Lancer community is made up of many diverse individuals. We have 2 learning targets today. By the end of this lesson, students should be aware of how they make assumptions, and that will be assessed through a partner activity and discussion following that activity. And the second is that students should be aware of how many ways LHS is diverse, and there will be a brainstorming and discussion activity for that. This quotation by Miguel Angel Ruiz really sums up the point of why we're doing today's Lancer lesson. He says, don't make assumptions. Find the courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. With just this one agreement, you can completely transform your life. And that's what we would like to see here at La Follette High School, is an end to misunderstandings, sadness, and drama caused by people making assumptions instead of simply communicating. To begin this lesson, we're going to do an activity called Do You Know Your Partner? All students need a 3x5 card or similar size piece of scrap paper and a writing utensil. Students will be partnered up with another student, and you should try and find a partner that you don't know very well. This activity doesn't work if you're partnered with your best friend. Students, once you're divided into partners, and if there's an odd number, the homeroom teacher can participate, or students can work in a group of 3. You should face your partner. Take 30 seconds now and look at your partner. As you are looking at your partner, try to notice as many details as you can. Okay, stop. Now, turn back to back so you're not facing your partner. On your paper, answer these 5 questions. What is your partner's dream car? What is your partner's favorite breakfast cereal? What type of music does your partner probably like? What is your partner's future career or job? And what does your partner like to do in his or her spare time? Take a minute to record your answers. Let's see if you were right. Turn back to face your partner and check your answers. See how close you were to the truth. Take a couple minutes to have this conversation. Okay, students, find your seats and let's have a little bit of a discussion. Homeroom teachers, please facilitate this discussion so that all students that want to speak have an opportunity to do so. It might be effective to have your group sit in a circle at this time so everyone can see each other. The first question to think about and share an answer with the group if you're comfortable is think about if you noticed that you had to make assumptions about what your partner liked or did. And along with that, if you did have to make assumptions because you didn't know the answer, on what did you base those assumptions? How did you come up with your idea? Take a few minutes to discuss. Teachers, you can pause the recording at this time and continue when this question has been fully discussed. Okay, so we've talked about how you made these assumptions, how you made these guesses about your partner. We want to think about whether or not you were right or you were wrong more often. And think also about if we make assumptions about people around us in life or in school and what those assumptions are. Take a minute and discuss with your homeroom what kind of assumptions people do make about each other in life or in school, and maybe touch on how this could affect our ability to get to know someone. Again, teachers, please feel free to pause the recording during the discussion and resume when this topic has been discussed. Remember that before you assume, learn. Before you judge, understand. Before you hurt, feel. Before you say, think. If we all take time to think about what judgments we make, what assumptions we make about each other, and we take time to think about how our actions and words could impact another, we'd be a lot better off. Our second activity today is looking at our school as a whole. Take a minute and on the back of your 3x5 card, see if you can come up with a list of 10 different groups that are represented here at La Follette. These can be ethnic groups, as well as social groups or other types of groups with diverse interests or beliefs. These can be groups people choose to be in, or groups that people simply are in because of circumstances. Some examples might be skateboarders or athletes who choose to participate in those activities, or freshmen or honor roll students, those who are simply there because that's where they fit. We'll give you just a minute more to finish jotting down some of these groups. All right, let's continue. At this time, we're going to shout out, or maybe not shout, but call out the groups that you have written. Remember to be respectful of these groups when naming them. One student or the teacher should write these on the board, and maybe another student or the teacher can call on participants to make sure everyone gets a chance to speak and things get written on the board in a quick or efficient manner. If you don't have a board available to write these on, that's okay. Let's just hear them out loud. Please pause the video if you need more time. Okay, now that you've heard, and most likely can read, the list of groups, we're going to go through that list again. If you didn't write these on the board, simply have the same students name the groups that they mentioned out loud. As groups are named, please stand up if you're a member of that group. If there's a group that's called that you're sensitive about your membership in, you are certainly welcome to remain seated if you are not comfortable standing as a member of that group. You can pause the video now until this activity is completed. So, look around you at the other students in your homeroom. You've seen these students standing up for a lot of different groups in the previous activity. All of these individuals represent many different groups, and altogether that's what makes up our community here at La Follette. While acceptance of a group is important, what we really need to do is to get to know these individuals, suspend our judgments, and see that they have a story. Each person has their own story, and our challenge is to hear their story and not to assume that their membership in a group speaks entirely for them. Just because someone is a sophomore does not mean that every sophomore shares the same characteristics with that student. That same student may be a representative of several different groups and might be the only person you know that represents one of those groups. But it's that individual's story that we need to take the time to learn. Similar to what we said at the beginning, before you assume, try this crazy method called asking. You'll find out a lot more about people and make much greater connections with people if you simply ask them, rather than assume who they are, what they want, what their goals are. Have you been on the receiving end of people's assumptions? How do you deal with people making assumptions and snap judgments about you? For example, people assuming you must be stupid because you watch reality TV, or assuming you have no interest in high fashion just because you like wearing t-shirts. How do you react when someone makes an assumption about you? Again, teachers, you can pause the video to continue discussing this issue. Remember, a lot of problems in the world would disappear if we talk to each other instead of about each other. If you have extra time, you may want to visit this blog and see if you would make the same judgments about the man in the street that the author makes from her window. If you'd like to read another story from the point of view of the person about whom assumptions are made, a woman with ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, talks about frustrations she has when people assume she's deaf because the disease has affected the muscles she uses to speak.